What are some of the key things that stood out for you in 2020 first and foremost?
Shall I kick off, Jay?
Take it away.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Look, I think personally, what I really got out of 2020 was that it was a really good year for introspection. Everybody, I think, businesses, individuals, everybody got a good hard look at themselves. We came face to face with the consequences of our decisions, and it gave us all an opportunity to decide how happy we were with what we had in front of us. And for some people, that was really, really confronting, not just from a personal perspective, but I think a lot of businesses too came face to face with consequences of past actions in terms of where they were taking their businesses, and the realisation that they had to move and pivot and act quickly because they didn't have a choice. It was adapt or die. So I think that to me was probably the key takeout of 2020, which has caused a lot of change in terms of behaviours, not just from individuals, but in terms of cultures. We think about the Black Lives Matter movement, how that's permeated not just in America, but throughout the world, even here in Australia. We have a look at COVID and how that's caused brands to change in terms of the communication, even their behaviour. So that to me has been, I guess, the significant changes that I've noticed over the last 12 months.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of echo what Greg's talking about in terms of monitoring behavior. I think for me, the big thing has been how important it is to be aware of market conditions and also what environment your customers are dealing with. Because I think this year particularly, it's added another layer of something that we have to think about, and it's made it very, very evident of how important it is to have that additional consideration, not just of, okay, well, what product am I offering, what service am I providing, what kind of ad am I running, but now it's that additional layer of, okay, well, what is going on around my people at the moment, or what's going on, what other communications are they seeing, and which is all important considerations as you're going along. But this year in particular, it's been something that's affected everyone. So it's the way that we think about doing marketing and communicating with customers has been almost funneled through, but the people who have really made a big difference are the ones who have considered that and then adapted or been agile in the way that they communicate. And there's been some, like you said before, we've seen people who have crashed and burned, and we've seen people who have absolutely flown out the other side. Yeah.
I think for me, it reiterates and amplifies the opportunity that is digital, right? And digital in my context here is the ability to be able to access a product or service or business through the interwebs, right? So online. We just actually wrapped up and just a few minutes ago put the final seal on a video that we've just created here that hopefully you're probably going to be seeing, no doubt. If you're listening to this, you'll be seeing it through the social channels. And it's the power of the word being digital, right? And the importance of that, and the importance that digital will play for any business, and the mindset to be able to look at your business as though it is a business. For me, that's been my biggest conversational narrative that I've been having the last few months, amplified through COVID. Because again, when uncertainty hits, it provides an opportunity. And I love what you just said earlier, Greg. It's the ability for us to face the consequences of our decisions or something along that lines. It's that ability for us to really look at and go, well, what have we actually been doing up until now? And it's not until you put a magnifying glass sometimes under your business or your product or service that you realize that it's actually probably terrible, or it's how good it is, right? So once it goes through a few battle tests, you can really see the sustainability that something might have. And for me, the conversations again is around, it's not so much the digital aspect itself. This is probably a layer above digital. It's are you actually treating your business like it's a business, or are you treating it like it's a Facebook campaign, right? Are you treating it like it's a strategy or a campaign versus how are we actually growing this thing moving forward? And I know when you're in the middle of COVID, or when you're in a situation where, your shop's been shut down and you have to pivot and you have to be agile and you have to be relentless, and I totally get the last thing you're thinking about is your 12-month forecast and what your KPIs are this month. I get that. Which lends to another couple of things to talk from that is the ability for you as a business owner to be adaptable to the marketplace, to the situations, and not be rigid and go, well, no, this is how we've always done it. We're not going to take our restaurant onto Uber Eats or onto any of these other platforms, or we're not going to offer takeaway. We've never offered takeaway. But it's like, well, maybe that's your options, either takeaway or go away, right? Unfortunately. Yeah. So the ability to be adaptable and agile, but looking at it through that business owner lens and go, how are you, and this is going to feed even more into 2021, and we'll talk about that at the latter end of this podcast, but the importance in how you look at the situation.
Absolutely. And I think one of the ways that we've been talking to our clients about that too in recent times has been about understanding their purpose. So delivery is one thing. So to your example about the restaurant owner who may have to look at alternate means of getting his meals into the hands of customers. But if you understand what your purpose is, well then it makes that navigational element a lot easier. If you really understand that the function that you serve in the lives of your customers, that informs and can help the navigational piece about where to next when market conditions change. So I mean, all of those themes that you're talking about have very distinct repercussions in terms of the trends and behaviour changes that successful businesses need to be thinking about and deploying if they're going to remain relevant.
Yeah, and the other side of that as well is that businesses also need to be aware on, in terms of how they react to the situation as well. I think that there's been a few campaigns that have popped up, and like you're talking about in terms of brand, having a really good understanding of who you are as a business, but also as a brand, helps shape what you do in these situations, because a lot of people can be like, oh, well, yes, there's going digital. You might be a retail store and now you need to be an online store. But then there's also the side of it where, what if you're already a retail store and you're still suffering? Do you go in and just push more product, or do you go in for another approach and think about a really dynamic way to react to the COVID situation, whether it be a PR stunt or whether it be some kind of branded campaign just to get your message out there and let people know how you've reacted and help build that audience and build that brand. There's many sides to the coin. Yeah.
I want to come back and sort of close a loop that I opened around this whole pre, during and post concept thinking, right? And it's the pre-COVID and how sort of digital was pre-COVID. And a lot of businesses seen digital as sort of an additive, or maybe it's an added extra. It's like you buy your car, but okay, we'll add a sunroof to it. It's optional. It's not really, we don't really necessarily need it type scenario, but it's really become super necessary, right? And COVID itself, so that during phase was businesses were scrambling. There was literally, many of them were scrambling to go, okay, how do I now make noise online? How do I be heard? How do I get people to know about me, right? One client in particular that we have here, Gold Coast City Florists, right? The timing for them was impeccable, to quote an amazing person who just recently said that word. The ability for them to be able to make the decision prior to this COVID happening, going, you know what, we're an offline business, we're a brick and mortar, we rely 100% on walk-by traffic. We're not getting the results that we sort of need right now. Let's actually take a leap. And that was the wording. It was like they took a leap. To even look at digital and look at marketing as though taking a leap, I mean, I see it as a necessary fundamental step, just like you would if you're getting your BAS returns or you're getting your tax returns. It's a requirement, right, from my view, because that's the way in which we view digital and the importance of it, because we see the outcome of what digital can provide. But in this case, they seen it as let's take a leap and have a go at it. Luckily for them, we'd just literally activated, and then COVID hit, their shop shut, unable to sell any flowers, no walk-by traffic. We got the online working. Next minute, they're selling out of flowers, right? They were literally, in their words, the best decision they've ever made. We can't believe it took us this long. And again, it's that rewiring the importance, and I really want to hammer this point, but it was their ability to be able to take action, get it working, and now post-COVID, they haven't even opened their shop. They can open the doors, but they're getting that many online orders right now. So it's their ability to really, and I think this is the important part, as a business owner, to change the way in which you're viewing digital.